It's no secret that Melania Trump does not like being the first lady of the United States. When Trump was president, Melania was pretty much first lady only like part-time, sharing those responsibilities with Ivanka Trump. So it's clear that she already didn't really have much of an interest in it in the first place. But a new report has found that she made a deal with Donald Trump saying that if he wins the presidency, she will not be first lady 24/7. Now we'll dive into those details in a second, but even before Trump announced that he was running, Melania was already sharing this kind of sentiment. Take a look.
Former President Donald Trump says he's already made a decision about whether to run again in 2024. He won't say what that decision is, only that his supporters will, quote, be very, very happy. But sources tell CNN that one person who won't be happy if he runs again is the former First Lady, Melania Trump. CNN's Kate Bennett joins the panel now with her exclusive reporting. So, Kate, what did you learn?
Well, I mean, not unlike 2016, Melania Trump has no intention, really, of joining the campaign or being a prolific presence. I've spoke to people who said that she's not really even interested in being in the White House again, going through being First Lady again. We know she's an extremely private person, and that being in the public eye wasn't necessarily something she wanted to do in the first place. She's retreated now back to Mar-a-Lago, being a mom, etc. And she really has no interest in helping her husband with his perceived, as we all know, his next step political ambitions.
We often see politicians say they consulted their spouse before they announced that they're running for office again, certainly if they're running for president.
Right, sure.
Is this not something a conversation that's happening?
Of course not. I mean, I don't think that's how they operate. You know, people are under the misconception that this is a couple that don't spend time together, they don't talk. It's really not true. They have very independent lives, but they do consult one another. However, you know, in 2016, when she was asked to do events, asked to go on campaign events and rallies, the answer was no so often that people on Trump's campaign just stopped asking her because it was always going to be a no. And we'll see that again this time around.
And what has she been doing? Because we haven't really seen her make any public appearances like you would maybe expect a former First Lady to do.
Right. Very much unlike her predecessors. She has not really taken advantage of the breadth and scope of the platform that a former First Lady has. Many of them are inspired by the work they do in the White House. They can continue doing foundations. Michelle Obama, even Laura Bush. Have work to do every day from their time as First Lady. It's been about 7 months since she left the White House. She established an office, but there has not been a public event. There has not been an initiative, a platform, any of the things we commonly expect to see. That's very typical Melania Trump. Not good or bad, she's just broken the mold. But I do think it is a challenge when you lower that platform for this amazing opportunity you have to influence the world with messaging. But like her husband, she's an anomaly of American politics.
So you wouldn't really expect someone who wasn't super interested in it the first time around to be super excited going into it for a potential second time. In fact, I bet she secretly hopes that Trump loses so that way she just doesn't have to deal with the responsibilities or stresses at all. But even if he does win the presidency, it looks like due to their deal, she's not even going to be spending that much time doing those responsibilities anyway. Let's take a look at that special report. Now this report comes from page 6, so I'm just going to be reading off of it because there's quite a lot of information here. So according to a Trump World Insider, they said that Melania has made a deal with her husband that says if he wins the presidency, she will not have to be on First Lady duty 24/7. Now, part of the reason for this, as it says here, is that it's speculated that their son, Barron Trump, will attend New York University in the fall. So that's her like overarching excuse, it sounds like, but to be honest, she just didn't want to do it anyway, so this just gives her a really good excuse. The insider says she's a hands-on mother and is already planning to spend part of every month and potentially every week in New York City, should Barron 18 attend New York University. Isn't that so nice of her to be a hover parent when their kid finally gets to actually go out into the world and, go to college and stuff? That sounds like a great plan, Melania. But like I said, I don't really think she's thinking about it from the perspective of, I need to protect Barron. It's more of like, I need a really good excuse to not be First Lady. And, I do want to be there for Barron, but more importantly, First Lady duty sucks. Now, the insider's adding that Barron would need additional adjustment to college life if his dad is president. Barron has never been completely on his own before, and with the added stress of him being both a freshman in college and potentially the son of a president in a predominantly Democratic city, Melania wants to be close. The added attention he'll get if his father is president worries Melania, who is also concerned about reaction at his school over Barron's ever-present Secret Service detail. And you know what will really help with this added attention he'll get is if his mother, Melania Trump, another prominent figure in the media, is also there with him. Because, perfect, right? Like I said, anyone who can really think through this, I feel like if you're worried about your son getting attention because his father, you being there is going to just make it worse because more attention is being put on him if you're there. Is that not common sense to anyone else? Now, the source also says Melania is an extremely protective mother and even pushed back on the idea that Barron would serve as a Republican delegate to the Republican National Convention from Florida. And with that, in May, Melania's office announced that Barron was regretfully declining the offer from the Florida Republican Party to be a delegate for the state as he had prior commitments. That statement says, while Barron is honored to have been chosen as a delegate by the Florida Republican Party, he regretfully declines this participation due to prior commitments. Now, going back to Melania, she feels safe in New York City and in the Trump Tower herself, and it's Barron's home, and that's why she wants him to go to school in New York. She wants him to go to school in New York. He basically gets no decisions on his own from what it seems like here. And, you'll remember, it was her office that, regretfully declined that invitation from the Republican Party. So it doesn't really seem like Barron's having much authority to do his own things here. The source continues, she can provide both emotional and physical support by being close. Everyone remembers how she delayed moving to Washington, D.C. until Barron finished school. And that's a reference to 2017, where Melania delayed moving into the White House with Barron for 5 months so he could finish up the school year uninterrupted in New York City. The source continues, she does not want a non-stop schedule of events in the White House and makes the point that she can be a hands-on mother and first lady at the same time. The source adds that Donald is close to Barron, but he isn't going to be tossing footballs with him when he's the president and the head of the free world. Donald has already agreed to this and feels that mothers and parents across the country will understand Melania's devotion to their son. Donald trusts Melania to bring up their son the same way he trusted Ivana to bring up their children. Donald feels it worked for Ivanka, Eric, and Don Jr. Honestly, through all this, I kind of feel bad for Barron. He has to, deal with being the son of one of the most hated people in the whole world. And on top of that, he basically doesn't get to think or do anything for himself, it seems like. It seems like all of his decisions are made by Melania because that's what she thinks is best for him. But really, he needs to get out and go experience the world on his own. Does this look like the face of someone who is happy with their life and is enjoying what they're doing? And here, she won't even leave him alone. So overall, I hope that he finds some freedom and, is able to sort of spread his wings a little bit in college and maybe, take a look at his situation and compare it to other people's, because I'm sure he's been sheltered this whole time. So hopefully he can actually, learn a little bit about the world and, grow up a little bit. But overall, this decision from Melania to, basically just move back to New York is something that we should have seen a mile away. If Trump wins in November, which hopefully he does not, but if he does, I think that Melania will put in a tiny bit of effort in the beginning, at least just a little bit, and then very quickly sort of distance herself because she doesn't want anything to do with being first lady. But who knows? Maybe that's still too much for her, and maybe she'll just not put any effort in and just never be seen again.